It's Taste of Country Nights with Evan Paul on demand, season 2, episode 47 with Luke Grimes and Lainey Wilson. Special double feature. Luke, what has surprised you most about the musical community here in Nashville?
I've told everybody about how much, how cool the community is here and how awesome this sort of like music row community is and how tight knit and incredibly talented, but also really, really welcoming and sweet. I think what I've noticed is any of the people who tend to be really successful at the music row game are really nice, cool, kind people, you know?
Now, it's important to note the interview with Luke Grimes was recorded during the SAG Hollywood strike, so he wasn't able to really talk too much about Yellowstone. And then the Lainey Wilson interview that is tagged on the back of this is from right before she won Entertainer of the Year. Both of these interviews were a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun talking to Luke Grimes and Lainey Wilson on this episode. Now, if you missed any past episodes of Taste of Country Nights on Demand, we recently just had Toby Keith on, Walker Hayes, Dolly Parton, Jelly Roll, Reba. A lot of people have been on Taste of Country Nights on Demand this past year, and you can find that. Just search for Taste of Country Nights on Demand wherever you get your podcasts, and I hope you enjoy this double shot of Luke Grimes and Lainey Wilson, part of the Town Square Media Podcast Network.
What's up, dude?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Let's talk about Pain Pills or Pews. I love the title, man. That's so deep, and I never would have thought a few words could be so deep, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of came from. Obviously, I grew up in church. My dad was a pastor, and there was just something about. I felt like those were sort of your options where I grew up.
Oh, pain pills or Pews?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of pills happening.
So those are your two options, and so you wanted to put that on display.
Yeah, and it's actually a song that'll be on the second half of all of this. So.
Oh, cool. Okay. There's quite a few songs on the EP that kind of paint you as a guy with a lot of internal struggle or conflict. Are you pretty level emotionally, or is it more of a roller coaster for you?
I'd say that the reason I do things like make any kind of art is to level things out. It's always been a tool for me. So clearly, that's what I do for a living, and now this. They're both artistic endeavors where I can really dig deep and get in there and try to be as honest as possible. And I think with the music now, it's even more me. It's even more like a representation of what's going on. And I don't think writing a sad song or something like that necessarily means someone's more messed up or complicated than anybody else. It's just, we're all human. We all go through stuff. And sometimes for me personally, like writing it down or actually singing it or saying it out loud helps.
What about acting? Is that an outlet? Can that be an outlet for you, or is it because you're, constricted as far as creativity per se?
I have to be a little careful about talking about it because they have this strike right now. And, out of solidarity, I know we're not, it's not to promote anything specific, but I actually don't know what I am allowed and not allowed to say. So I'm just going to steer clear altogether.
Okay, that's fair. I understand that. That's fair. You recently spent a fair amount of time around great singer-songwriters like Ryan Bingham and Lainey Wilson. Did any of them give you any advice on the industry or songwriting in general? Because I know Lainey's like a really good songwriter too.
I didn't get to spend as much time with Lainey as I would have liked to. We didn't have a lot of days on set together or scenes together. And here we go talking about that again. My bad. But no, Ryan's just a great guy. I love being around him. He's just got the best energy, the best spirit. And if I've learned anything from him musically, it's just by watching him do what he does and being inspired by it.
Have you gotten to know anyone in Nashville? And has anyone like fangirled over you?
It happens, you know, from time to time, but I've made some good friends here so far, I think, man. I've told everybody about how much like how cool the community is here and how awesome this sort of like Music Row community is and how tight knit and incredibly talented, but also really, really welcoming and sweet. I think what I've noticed is any of the people who tend to be really successful at the Music Row game are really nice, cool, kind people, you know. And I think if you're not, you're out.
Yeah, anyone that has like I've noticed anyone that tries to challenge that, even like radio wise, like it's just a machine and it's going beautifully. And it's like you can either join it, but you're not gonna beat it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is just so nice. And for at least me, it's made me a better person just being a part of this community for so long that eventually, you are what you're around and become. So I'm glad you pointed that out, man, because it really is. It's like none other.
Yeah, man. It like you said, I kind of changed me a little bit too. I think what I did artistically was never really like a team sport, you know. And I feel like Music Row and Nashville and country music in general, it is a team sport because the song is the star, you know, that the songs are the star of the town. They win the day. And you know, sometimes the people who come through are just the vessel for putting out that great music, you know.
Do you have mixed feelings about like where you grew up? Because like, Ohio is about your small town, about where you grew up, and it's not like great as far as like you telling the story of Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, again, man, we go back to that sort of just trying to be as honest as possible. And I think clearly I left Ohio. Clearly I thought maybe there was more out there. And I think that song I always kind of equate it to like a breakup song with your home or with a place where it's not necessarily happy. You know, not everything about leaving home is good or happy. It's really hard. Uh, and 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 I also wanted to come across that there is a lot of love for that place. I'm so happy to have grown up there, and especially all the people, all the friends, and all the family. And I hope this song feels like a love song, but just sort of like it's melancholy in the way that it didn't quite work out. You know.
You ever hear Bowling for Soup, Ohio, back in the day?
Wait, what's that?
There's a song from the group Bowling for Soup, and it's called Ohio. And it's all about like Ohio. There's been a lot of music about Ohio. I don't know.
I'm gonna listen to that song on the way home from here. I've never heard it.
Dude, it's sweet. Bowling for Soup, Ohio, sweet.
I'm gonna check it out, man.
Yeah. What do you still have like family and friends that live in your hometown? And when you go home, is it like crazy?
Yeah, they're all still there. I have a pretty big family too. I'm the youngest of four, and then my brothers and sister have had kids. Their kids have had kids, so it's like a big happy Midwestern family. I go back every year for Thanksgiving because the week after Thanksgiving is deer hunting season. So I do the holiday, then me and the boys all go hunting. So I'm home for around 2 weeks over that period of time, pretty much every year.
Hey man, let me ask you a question. Let's say you hit a deer in your car during deer season. You taking that boy home and freezing him, or do you just leave him there?
Well, I mean, do I have to tag it? Am I going to lose my tag over this? That would be
Okay.
the question. If they just let me have it, I'll take it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Growing up, did you get a lot of support when you were chasing your artistic thing or your music?
I think, man, when I started telling my parents that I was going to kind of maybe either move to LA or New York, and it wasn't because I had necessarily wanted to go to some big city, but because I wanted to try to do things that I couldn't do from Ohio. I don't know if they took it that seriously until I just never shut up about it, dude. Because I started saying it at like 5 years old. I was like, I'm gonna go do this. And they're like, okay, buddy, good luck. Like every kid says that. But then I read every book I could get my hands on about how to like break in or, do this or that. And then I think, I was about to graduate high school, and I was like, I'm just gonna, save up for a car and drive out there. And they're like, oh, he's serious. And so they at that point, they decided to take it seriously and try to like stay involved as much as possible.
So let me ask you, if you live in Montana now, is that right?
Yeah.
If you'd never moved to LA or Montana, would there be Luke Grimes music?
Yeah, music came first. I mean, not obviously not professionally, but growing up in church. I played drums in the worship band. I was always in bands. Even when I was in New York and LA, I played music. But I just never thought like it wasn't something. It's just something I enjoyed. It was my hobby. It was for me. It's not something I had any ambition around where I was like, I need to make this my job. I actually never thought I would for that exact reason. I didn't want to ruin it. I didn't
Right.
want to put a bunch of pressure on it and be like, well, now the thing that I just love to do in my room by myself, you know, causes me anxiety. But so far, man, I just had to put that fear to bed and go, I have an opportunity here. I'm going to take it. We'll see what happens. And if this is the only thing I ever get to do in this lane, it was totally worth it, man. Meeting all these people and learn the lessons that I did about songwriting and yeah, and even doing this, meeting people like you, man.
Hey, thanks, man. I always like to ask artists what song on a new project their wife likes the best. But it's interesting for you because your wife learned English as a second language. But, I'll ask anyway, does she have like a favorite?
Yeah, well, man, what is her favorite? I think she was actually a lot of people don't know this. When we did Hold On, she was sitting in a chair opposite me as we sang it. Dave put her in the room because he just thought it would change my vocal performance.
Oh.
And so I think that's probably her favorite. She was there. But speaking of her English is better than mine already. So that's not an
Dude,
issue.
The Office will do that to you, man. That's the show, bro. That's the show.
Yeah.
Has she gotten to meet anyone from The Office?
Well, yeah, because
Yeah, I got
you get it.
yeah.
You get it.
Sweet. I got him. All right. That's all I got, man. Dude, I appreciate you taking time to talk to me.
Absolutely, man. So nice to meet you. Let's do it
You
again
too.
sometime.
You as well, man. Thanks, brother. Good
Take care,
luck.
dude.
All right. Later, man.
All right, let's jump into the double feature here. Our interview with Lainey Wilson.
What's up, Miss Wilson? How are you?
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by
Good to
virtually.
see you.
You yourself told me that Nashville was a 10-year town. You put in your time, and now you're nominated as Entertainer of the Year, the CMAs. What does that mean to you?
It means that I have some big shoes to fill. It's crazy. It really is. It's one of those things where I feel like, nothing happened for years. I've been here for 12 years now, and it seems like the stars have aligned, and then they've continued to align and then align again. And the truth is, I've made a promise to myself a long time ago that if a door opened and it was the right door, that I was going to run through it. And it seems like a lot of the right doors are opening, and it feels like country music is finally starting to love me back.
What you gonna do if you win, though?
What am I not gonna do? I'm gonna act a fool. I'm gonna act a fool. I'm gonna have a lot of family in Nashville celebrating. And when I say family, I mean blood family, but also people here in Nashville who I would consider family. I mean, you got to have a tight knit group of folks around you to do anything like this, to really just to do anything in life. And I just have a lot of supportive people who it's a win for them too. If we take anything home.
I got you. Watermelon Moonshine, your fifth number one. Has that set in? And do you celebrate these wins?
I do celebrate these wins, but I'll be honest with you. I am the kind of person where I'm like, this is incredible. This is huge. We celebrate it. We thank the Lord, and then we move on because I know that, I was given a gift, and I'm supposed to share it with the world. And I'm not just gonna have five number ones. I'm gonna have more where that came from. So on to the next one, celebrate it, be thankful for it. But yeah, it's just about acknowledging it, being proud of the moment, and being like, all right, what's next?
Back when Things a Man Ought to Know came out, you told me you were at a Love's truck stop in taking a potty and you heard it. Have you heard anything fun or funny been anywhere while Watermelon Moonshine came on?
Oh, nothing like that strikes me, but I will tell you, every boy I have ever dated in my lifetime thinks this song is about them.
Yeah.
No, do you not realize that I dated other people other than you? It is the funniest thing. It's like even if I talk to somebody for a month or two, they're like, "Oh, that song's about me." It like somehow makes its way up through the grapevine back to me, and I'm like, "Boy, you know what? If that butters your biscuit, if that makes you feel good, you right. I wrote it about you."
I need you to expand on what you said. I think it was at the Pews Choice Awards about Jelly Roll. That back in 2013, you were in a video with Uncle Cracker, and you were passed out drunk in the video, supposedly. But you didn't get your $100. And can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was living in my camper trailer. Like I said, moved to Nashville in 2011. A couple years later, money was tight, and I heard that Jelly Roll was doing this music video with Uncle Cracker, and they were paying people $100 to come for the day and just kind of be extras in the music video. And so I was a drunk girl, passed out on the ground, and I never even got my $100. But I was in the music video, so I tell Jelly all the time, I'm like, "Pay up, boy, pay up."
Are you in the video for like a millisecond?
Honestly, I watched it and I think I saw myself one time, but the truth is, like, you could watch it and be like I never even saw her. So they were probably like, she wasn't worth $100,
Okay, but when it first came out, though, were you telling people like, "Look, I'm making it. I'm starting to get some"?
Yes, I mean, I remember thinking that was a big deal. Like I got asked to be in somebody's music video. Like it was definitely something I called home about.
Okay. As someone who dates an ex-football player, let's dive in about Taylor Swift with Travis Kelce. What are your thoughts on this situation? Is it real? What do you think?
I think it's real. I think like the truth is they're both extremely, extremely successful at what they do. And I'm sure that they have a lot in common. Because the truth is, even me and Duck, he knows what it's like to work really hard for something. And kind of start from the ground up. And I think it was that way for the both of them. I think there's probably a lot of things that they have in common. And so I hope so. I hope that they're just madly in love and right off into a sunset.
I mean, or do we hope that they're madly in love and then we get a new Taylor record after they break up?
Well, I mean, that could work too. That could work too. I'd be fine with either.
I had Darius in the other day, and he said that he basically has been begging everyone he knows to get in Yellowstone. It's his favorite show, and he wants to be in it. Darius Rucker. Have people like country artists been hitting you up on the low trying to get Taylor's number to get in there?
I've had a couple of them, be like, "Hey, what contact would I, who could I talk to about this or whatever?" But I try to keep those, cards close to my chest, not because I want them to miss out on an opportunity, just because I know, I don't need to be giving people's number out. It needs to be a natural, organic way of them meeting. And, I think Taylor he's a dude that is down to business. And if he's interested and wants to work with you, he's the kind of dude, he's going to figure out how to get in touch with you. So I try to just kind of keep that separate if I can.
What's next on your acting plate?
Oh man. I definitely am interested in doing more acting. I will say I've learned that I just love being creative, whatever that means. So yeah, we'll see. Whatever opportunity comes my way, if I feel like it's right, if I feel like I can do the character justice, then sign me up, Buttercup.
How long have you known about the New Year's Eve Nashville gig? Like, how far in advance? We were just talking in our group chat. Like, we don't even know what we're doing this weekend. Like, how far in advance do you have to plan your life now?
Dude, we're already talking about 2025.
So like there's some date in 2025 where you have to be already.
I don't know if we have a show scheduled for 2025,
Wow.
but we have next year completely booked as far as I know. And then we're talking about what the 2025 is going to look like what kind of shows are we going to be playing. So yeah, I remember when I was just like, man, I hope I get a gig somewhere this weekend. I hope somebody calls me from their little hole in the wall bar and I get to play a 4-hour gig somewhere. And it is crazy to think that now we're like working on our schedule years away, but that's just how it is. I mean, this business is crazy and it moves fast. And you do have to kind of take a step back and look at the big picture.
Can we get an update on the land you bought?
It's good. I'm hoping I get me a Polaris or a Can-Am or something real soon, so that way I can ride around. I did steal the neighbors this past week and rode around on the farm, and I got eat up by chiggers all on the back of my legs. So if you see me down here scratching, you know what's going on.
Your label booked you your last tour before the CMAs. Doesn't your price like double once you win? Was that a thing?
Hey, once you sign on that dotted line, whatever you agree to is what it is. And I'm a woman of my word. So whatever I said I'd play it for, I'm gonna play it. But then after that, the price is going up.
Okay. Was it hard for you to turn down the paychecks of Hannah Montana in pursuit of the slim shot of country music stardom? Because I know you were making some money at some point doing that.
I mean, I was making $300-400 a party. I was doing 3 or 4 parties a weekend, and especially for somebody in middle school and high school, I mean, I was rolling in it as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
But no, Evan, I'll be honest with you. It was time for me to hang the wig up. When I did, I was ready to step into whatever it is that I was going to be doing. I think impersonating Hannah Montana really kind of showed me the ropes a little bit. Taught me a whole lot about being in front of different crowds. Like one day I'd be playing a 3-year-old's birthday party, and the next day I'd be playing the nursing home. So it's about adjusting to your crowd. So, but I was ready to step into my calling.
Okay, one more for you. You just saw a story where you were like down to your last $20 when Things a Man Ought to Know hit. Are your ATM receipts now like CVS pharmacy, or how are you still recouping?
Hey, we always gonna be recouping.
Okay.
I'm always recouping. No, I will say it does feel nice to be able to start kind of doing some nice things for people that have done nice things for me. And there was a time in my life where I just wasn't able to do that. And so even just, if my mom and daddy want to come see me play at a show, like kind of getting them out there to the show and taking care of that, because they've done so much for me. I mean, they have supported me from the beginning, and they would take me to all these honky-tonk talent searches, and they were my believers before anybody
That's amazing.
believed in me. So it's just kind of about like paying it forward.
Good for you. I could totally see you helping out your parents and all that. You're a caretaker. I love to see it. Well, thank you.
It's put me in a bind a few times.
Well, thank you for everything. Congrats on the #1 again, and we'll see you next time around.
All right, buddy. Be good.
All right, later. You too.
Bye.
All right, we're going to bring in Billy Dukes from behind the camera to talk about these couple interviews here. These were fun, man. I really didn't know too much about Luke Grimes until I took the interview, actually.
Pretty cool dude, isn't he? I thought you guys really got along well together. Like, he kind of comes off as the kind of guy, like, you could kind of just grab beers with, He doesn't seem like a Hollywood star at all.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that vibe at all. Like, honestly, I didn't know, how big of a part of, that show, Yellowstone, he is and everything until afterwards. I interviewed him just from the aspect of a country music, artist on his way up. And then I was like, oh, wow, okay. Because I was like, oh, wow, another Luke. Here comes another Luke. And then I was like, oh, man, this guy's actually an actor and everything.
Mm-hmm. He kind of comes across as like a classic middle child. And I'm not certain that he's a middle child, but I guess that he is. Like, because I relate to this. Like, you want to get out of town. You're a little bit resentful of your hometown and maybe even your family, but you're not going to out and out say it. So you kind of bury it in a song. Like that kind of mood, I kind of really relate with.
I get that. Yeah, but now I feel like they're all gonna know now once they hear the song.
Yep, probably, and they probably knew already. His dad was a preacher, I believe. That was his story. And he was big into church was a huge part of his childhood. I think maybe to the point where he kind of pushed it away a little bit. Like, I don't know that if he was allowed to listen to any non-secular music at all growing up.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's kind of like the only person in the music industry that I know that's kind of like that is like Katy Perry, I think, right?
Oh, is that how she was raised?
Yeah, her parents were traveling ministers, and she was like on the road with them and everything, and she wasn't allowed to listen to that kind of music. And then once she, her first song was "I Kissed a Girl," so it's like, I feel like, this just opens up the floodgates for Luke Grimes. He could go something else now.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that he lives in Montana. And then he moved there after he started on Yellowstone. So obviously he has no interest in like the Hollywood lifestyle. But I don't know if you've checked out his wife at all. But I think she's a supermodel. Like, she's like a Brazilian supermodel. So like her job is very New York and LA.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I thought it was interesting that he's going to try to crack into country music and not live in Nashville. And we've talked about that before. Billy, you brought it up that it's really hard to make it, if you're not in Nashville, going through the rounds and doing everything. So to be all the way out in Nebraska, Montana, and making it in film and country is kind of crazy.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what I actually expect from Luke Grimes. Like the EP is called Pain Pills and Pews, and he toured. He was kind of on break from Yellowstone, so he had a little chance to tour. I don't know that this is going to be like his first passion. Like, I don't think he's going to be pushing radio singles and like going for CMA Awards. I think it's going to be a little bit like, almost like, you remember the same label signed Chrissy Metz, who was in This Is Us?
Yes.
If you remember that show? Same label has signed her, and it was just kind of a little bit of a label to sort of park her musical aspirations as she was sort of inclined to chase them. I think Luke is pretty serious about the music, but I don't think he has dreams I think he understands that he's a better actor than he is a singer-songwriter at this point, so he's not like pivoting. But like, he could have like Kevin Costner has a band called the Modern West that's fairly successful. Kiefer Sutherland has a band that's moderately successful, although not very good. Like, I think it could be that kind of thing.
Okay, well, how does someone like that get signed to such a major label? Is it because of his acting chops? I mean, if he's not, this label, if they're not going for country music ads and stuff, I wonder why they pick up somebody like that.
I think it's an agreement that is low risk from the label's standpoint. Like, they're not necessarily investing a ton of capital into him right up front, but like, they know that he can recoup a lot more easily than maybe a new artist because of his celebrity. And then from like the actor musician's point of view, it's someone to really give your music some credibility and some distribution and even some promotion that you wouldn't get if you were just kind of chasing it as an independent artist.
Okay. I mean, that makes more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
I really wanted to talk more Yellowstone with them, but it got a little weird because they, like we said, they were in their writer's strike. But I wish I could book them again and talk to them.
He was so buttoned up. Like, I don't think he didn't seem to know like what it seemed to him like just even acknowledging that he was an actor might run afoul of the writer's strike.
I was like, man, I got to tread lightly here. I don't know how far he wants to even go. Am I supposed to acknowledge that he's an actor? Like,
right.
He's stuck to his guns.
I wish that he and Lainey Wilson would have spent a little bit more time together. It sounds like, I think talking to Lainey, she had told us previously that she spent a little time with Ryan Bingham, I think, and Luke and Ryan have had time to spend each other. But it doesn't sound like Luke Grimes and Lainey have kind of kicked it at all or even really had a chance to talk music, which is kind of a bummer, I think.
Does Luke Grimes' music get used a lot in Yellowstone or no?
When he was kind of preparing to release new music and release that EP, because the EP came out in the fall. I take that back, because the EP came out in the fall of 2023 and there was no episodes of Yellowstone. There was a couple songs used late in season 4, season 5, maybe 1 to 3 songs used, but there's certainly artists. Lainey Wilson has had several songs used. Ryan Bingham has had tons of songs used. And then there's bands like Whiskey Myers that have had a lot of music used. So a little bit, but not a ton yet.
Do you think that Luke Grimes gets signed if his music isn't featured on Yellowstone, or vice versa?
I don't think he gets signed if he's not Luke Grimes.
Okay. I mean, did he have to have like those songs? Like, did the songs get on Yellowstone, then he got signed to a label, or was it the other way around?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know if one necessarily had to happen for the other.
Yeah, like I wonder if like the label is like, all right, I mean, you were good enough, Yellowstone used you, we'll sign you, or if it was like, if Yellowstone was like, if you get on a major label, then we can use it, and then he was like, okay, I always wonder how stuff like that works.
Yeah, they've always said that Taylor Sheridan, like, he'll pick songs, he doesn't care at all about like the politics of it. But he's clearly helped out some of his buddies.
I was going to say, that guy is like, can break a career like in a heartbeat. Yes. I was talking in the Lainey interview. I think it was this Lainey interview. I've talked to her a few times, but she was telling me how she keeps his number close to her pocket. She doesn't share it with any other country music artists that might want to get into Yellowstone. She said that should happen for them organically.
Yep, that was this interview, and this was, so you conducted this interview in October, which is interesting because it was before she won CMA Entertainer of the Year, so there was a lot of pre-CMA talk right at the front of it. But if you go back to like when you talked to her, I think it was either in January or maybe it was in the spring. She did talk about how appreciative she was. Much more sounded like a new artist then. Being really appreciative of Yellowstone and that opportunity, and it really did give her a boost. I mean, I don't know if she's Entertainer of the Year if she doesn't have sort of that Yellowstone lift.
Interesting. So is Taylor Sheridan like behind the scenes, like sprinkling fairy dust on these artists and making their careers instantly?
You can see why people are trying to get on the show. That's for sure. I mean, some of the people that we've talked to that have been trying to like get music on the show. Ernest comes to mind. Thomas Rhett. We know Cody Johnson's a fan. Didn't Nate Smith say he was a big fan?
Yeah, I think Darius Rucker even said something about it.
Yeah, Darius was like, he would have left the interview then if he got a call. Like, he was all in. He would have paid for his own flight and lodging.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of artists want to be a part of that show, but Lainey Wilson's the only one that he's booked, of course, from Ryan Bingham, who was kind of a regular cast member, but...
do you think there'll be any other ones? Or do you think Lainey's going to share the spotlight? You think she's going to get even more songs in Yellowstone in future episodes or in the spinoffs?
I don't think Lainey will come back. She might have music featured here and there. I do think that there will be another country artist because he seems to be like he reached out to Cody Johnson and Cody couldn't work it out. Who is the one artist? Cody Hibbard. Cody is a Christian artist who admitted to us that he was booked to be a major role on the show on season 6, but season 6 got scrapped, so his role kind of went out the window.
Oh. It needs to be like, I'd like to see him sprinkle a little fairy dust and revive some careers that have stalled a little, like we need to see like Chase Bryant or Hunter Hayes or something,
I couldn't see Hunter Hayes on Yellowstone. That doesn't seem like Chase Bryant, maybe. I don't know if he's up for it. I'm just going to say that there's people higher up on that list than Easton Corbin that I want to see on Yellowstone.
Let's get Billy Currington up there, man. Come on.
That'd be interesting. He's a fighter.
That would be. He'd be the only one barefoot.
Right.